they're struggling, but they like got it done.
Yeah.
A good challenge.
Yeah. I know now why that was super easy for us.
Yeah.
Why it's not for like 2 million.
Welcome back to Misfit HQ. Today we are tackling Misfit WOD back squat 4x4 at 82.5%. I will be your coach. Sherb and Hunter will be your athletes.
Put that in air quotes.
Yeah, we do a quote athlete.
So we wanted to do this video because it's really important to understand what goes into a really well-rounded squat session. We need activation, we need mobility, we need to get that stuff done before we even warm up. Then we need a great warm up. Then we need the right atmosphere to actually squat the weight properly. We need someone who's gonna nitpick over your movement like me, looking over your shoulder at all times. So to get started, we are gonna go ask Sherb and Hunter what they do for that activation mobility piece before they ever touch a barbell.
Oh, hey, Ted. Hello, everyone. For me, for back squats, I have terrible ankles. You can look at my dainty ankles right now. I need to floss them. Yeah, they're tiny, real small.
Those are heinous.
Yeah, don't look at them, they're disgusting. But for me, in order to be able to squat properly, I have to get my ankles loose or I'm not gonna be able to hit depth or move properly at all. So for me, that requires me flossing for anywhere between 2 and 5 minutes per leg, focusing mostly on the ankle joint, sometimes the calves if they're tight, and then for me after that, it's just glute activation. So those are my kind of like 2 go-tos every single time I squat. Ankle mobility and glute activation.
And that was for you.
That is for me personally. It's important to say that you got to make your own assessments on what you're tight with, what restricts you, what hinders your movement, and then make a plan to fix it.
Yeah, mine is almost always some form of glute activation, usually with like a band around the hips, and then either like a lateral or forward-facing duck walk to loosen up my hips, and then if I'm feeling exceptionally sore, tight from like training the day before or something, then I'll floss as well. But it's really dependent on the day. But I'm a bigger fan of like the activation stuff than the either static stretching or mobility ahead of time. So activation.
Let's activate.
Let's activate.
Back squat 400.
The day I did 400, I had like,
You can see my dance moves now.
I did
Check out this range of motion.
385 and they worked.
1 degree range of motion.
Grab the floor and I was like, I can either go for a 5-pound PR and a 15-pound jump, 400. I like this one. So if you get into like your good squat position and then wrap your hands around the outside of your knees, push the knees in while driving, using your glutes and thighs to drive your knees out. It really helps get your glutes turned on and into a better position, being able to drive your knees out so you create room for the hips. So
What's your 82.5%?
315. Comfortably hit 365 for 2 at the end of our gym's last cycle. And then when we did our 1 rep max test day, it was more just like work to a heavy single for the day for me because I did not hit anywhere near what I'm capable of. So 365 for 2, and I'm gonna go off of the idea that I could comfortably hit 385 for a single, and I'll base my percentages off that. But I think if anybody's in that boat where they don't have a good estimation, I always tend to tell people to go a little bit lower than they think they should and just try to move it faster or move it perfectly rather than overestimate and have 16 shitty reps over the course of a 4x4.
What's your working weight?
363, so round down.
What's your 1 rep?
440. Probably could, on a good day, maybe hit a little bit more than that, but good days are behind me. So just gonna go heavy. Been using 440 for a while, so hopefully I can move 365 decently. We'll let coach be the judge of that.
Guys, big
High bar.
Huh? Front squat?
Low bar front squat?
Yeah.
That's what I do. I perfected that movement.
Hey, you didn't squat an empty barbell.
Yeah, I know. I need a little bit of weight. Force me down the hole. Honestly, like I get enough movement through like air squats and floss band in my hip and with glute activation band that I feel like my hips are okay enough that I can start with a 135 bar, which is typically how I start my sessions.
Okay, is this
What'd you say there, sir? So I like to start with 135. Usually my first few sets are like pause in between, so I'll squat down, hang on the hole, shift side to side, make sure things are feeling good, make sure that I don't need to floss further or activate further, and then I start jumping up. So 135 to 155 is usually what I start with. Look out!
My favorite mobility as a coach is the actual movement itself. So you've got him down in that bottom position there, thinking about where he's at, pausing, making sure he's under control, making sure that, you know, as he starts to bounce, with Sherb, we'll do air quotes again for Sherb's bounce, but as an athlete starts to bounce, that it's, you know, a controlled thing. It's not just stretch, reflex, and then who knows where the weight's gonna go in my feet. Is my butt gonna shoot up? Is my chest gonna drop? Any of that stuff. So I really like getting the activation done and then spending some actual time with a barbell on your back in that bottom position, really kind of feeling the movement out.
First set.
First set of 4. Look out, Sherby. Just feeling crispy today. I'm looking at my fucking weird hips.
Look at your small pickle.
Look at his
Yeah.
turn.
Turn.
What's turn?
Your left
Doing
knee,
this.
Your left knee pushes out way further than your right.
My what? My
Your
left.
left knee has more range in your adductor, so your knee pushes out further on your left side than it does your right. Well, he just fixed it like this. Turned his toe out to try to gain some more range.
Some real freaky shit you're doing there. Good.
We don't endorse his movement patterns. Or mine, for that matter.
So you guys are gonna know what's appropriate for actually doing those pause squats, and then as you start to add weight, we need to make sure that it becomes about speed. You're trying to prime your body, your CNS, all that stuff to be able to actually stand the weight up with some purpose, actually, you know, hold on to that form once we get to 82.5%. So Sherb just put 225 on the bar, and now he's moving with a little bit more intent in terms of what the actual speed is. He's priming himself to have a really good squat session.
Probably this and then one more weight before I start my set. So it'd been like 6 or 7 warm-up sets. I just play it by feel. Some days it goes faster and it only takes a few. Some days it takes 15 minutes to get loose. Today it feels pretty good. So why? I don't know. But today it feels pretty good.
A lot of it's about, are you doing enough to warm up? And then as the weight gets heavier, you don't have any reps where you just kind of put the bar on your back, go down, up, and call it. You can tell they're focused, they're worried about their form and their setup and all that stuff. So from a warm-up standpoint, I really like it. The only caveat that I'll throw in there is as we get higher and higher in percentages, there might be that one extra set where you either go right at the weight you're gonna use for like a super aggressive single, or even 5 to 10 pounds over that, just to make sure, if you're worried at all about your percentage work. That can help a lot mentally for that first set.
Notice you didn't wear a belt when you warmed up.
It's funny, I was just telling Drew, along with his idea of, you know, hitting a single at your percentage weight before you start your sets or going a little bit heavier, I like to wait to put my belt on to either the set, my very first set, or my set before my very first set, is a way of like, you know, convincing myself to brace without the belt, teach myself like it's important to have tension even without this thing, and then when it comes time to actually go, it feels like the belt, probably more of a security blanket than anything else, but it helps me stay focused the entire time, because 5x5s and 4x4s and even 3x3s at super heavy weight can be a mental grind. So it's really important to have this reminder, like stay tight the whole time. Oh, I can still squeeze 4 notches.
We want to make sure that you guys are warming up properly. That's kind of half of the video here. We just showed these guys going through activation, mobility with the bar, really good warm-up sets. Now we need that shift in focus. Athletes, coaches, training partners, everybody needs to be in this together in terms of you gotta be a hype man sometimes, you gotta, help people with form, you gotta turn the music up. It has to be the right atmosphere for you to get everything that you can out of a session like this. People think that it's just 4 reps, 4 times, but if we're trying to get everything out of it like we would in a Metcon or something, we really need to maintain focus. And that's not gonna be easy every single time we squat. That's why, again, you need training partners and coaches, hype men, blast the music, get it going, like make this a real thing, stay super focused and get everything that you can.
See a real man like Hunter, not wearing a shame belt like me. I have no shame, I'm wearing a belt.
Easy day.
How red am I? Make sure you get 4 notches on there. Work hard. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't quite get it as tight as Travis gets it, but it's on there pretty snug. As you can tell, my core sits on tight. Part of squatting is the resting in between. My favorite part of back squats.
Done. Thank God it's not 5x4 at 82.5%.
17 by 4. Go, Sherby.
Straight down.
So that is what we want a back squat session to look like. We want you to really take the time, have that mentality as you're getting started to get really warm. And then after that, really ramping up the focus and intensity to give the piece the attention that it deserves. We get a lot of people throughout the course of a cycle that struggle to hit percentages, and for me, a lot of it's about, did you warm up properly and did you create the right environment to be able to execute the entire time?
Say my big tip, other than obviously getting yourself loose, so I don't know if you caught it, but before every my sets, I grab the bar and I put myself in the right headspace to squat heavy, like Drew said. A lot of times later in the cycle, people are like, I just can't do this, cycle's not working, I'm not gonna PR. That's just because they don't spend the requisite amount of time getting themselves ready for a set. It's no different to me than if you're like, we're trying to go out and max out your clean and jerk. Like, get yourself in the right headspace, make sure you don't rush your preparation, get to the bar, prepare yourself, brace, pick the bar up, and get to work. So headspace goes a long ways in the heavy back squat.
Yeah, and if this is the only piece you're hitting, kind of if you're following the Misfit WOD where you're just doing that one workout a day, and you've maybe only got that 1 hour to do it, like an hour should be a perfect amount of time to really get, like Drew said, a good warm up, really prime your system, move some weight, move some of the lighter percentages really fast, and then tackle the 4x4. And then get a good cool down after, and that'll take you right up to an hour. And if you think you need more than that afterward, then maybe you need to take some more time to do the 4x4 right.